Crush. I'm your host, Amber Akilla, DJ, creative consultant, cute, chaotic, and critical thinking. You can follow me on Instagram at Amber Akilla and friend.crush and TikTok. I hope everyone's been doing well, living their best life, or at least learning how to live their best life. Today's topic, I want to talk about just like the way that we understand romance now and crushes and how underrated crushes are as you get older, I think. And I just feel like this chemistry, fun, frivolous part of dating is dead. Is it just me, or is that like what's actually happening? Because I haven't heard any stories from anyone about like crushes or interactions I've had with people that have been like really exciting, or they start off as like going well and you're like, oh my God, yes. And then they reveal some detail and you're like, what the actual fuck? Like literally, someone that follows me sent me screenshots today of her friend asking her out, like this guy that she'd been friends with for ages, and he asked her out. She sent me screenshots and I was like, okay, that's kind of cute, like he's obviously nervous to ask you. But then he was kind of like, just keep an open mind. Like, just think about it. Even though she was like, hey, I just see us as friends. Like, but thanks anyway. And he's like, well, just think about it. Like, just keep an open mind. It's like, okay, pushy much. I was like, yeah, it started off cute, but then it went in a weird direction. And she was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. The context was that he broke up with his girlfriend a week earlier. What? I mean, I don't know if he's white. So the audacity of it all. Surely by now you should know that you need to take a little time after a breakup. And I asked her how old he was, and she said 25. So, the frontal lobe is only just starting to close at that age. But seriously, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a rebound, but do you want to shit all over a friendship for a rebound like that? Oh my God. But seriously, what happened to crushes? I honestly feel like the way that, okay, firstly, all relationships are transactional in nature, or healthy relationships, right? Actually, all relationships, it's just like the nature of the transaction. A healthy relationship is where it's win-win, okay? Like we both enjoy each other's company, whether this is friendship, work, or romance. You both get something out of knowing each other, being connected to each other, whether that's money, whether that's friendship, whether that is love, respect, support, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. And I find it so funny when people get defensive, mostly when I'm like looking at the comment sections on Twitter and people are like, how could you think that love is just transactional? And it's like, okay, get a grip. How are you going to find love with that attitude, love? You need to know what you're getting out of the connection. And you need to know when to let go of the connections where you're not getting anything out of it or where you're being depleted. So I think when you get into unhealthy territory, that's when it's win-lose. And a lot of situations, I think, are in that win-lose category. One person is getting something while the other person isn't. And then sometimes within a relationship, you'll flip back and forth. Okay, their needs are being met at the expense of one person's, and then it switches to the other person's needs getting met at the expense of the others. That's my observation, okay? You can disagree with me if you like, but healthy relationships to me are when you both mutually gain or are at least supported. You're kept in a neutral place or in a forward moving positive one. And when you get into toxic territory, that's when you start taking steps back. And I think that especially for relationships that last a really long time, it's not always going to be every day we're moving forward. Sometimes conflict arises, and if the two of you are mature enough and care about each other enough, then you'll work through it together. But it can't be that one person is putting their shit on the line and the other one isn't. In my opinion, that kind of stuff is just not worth it. Or, radical acceptance, and you've accepted that in certain areas. This is something that is just part of the friendship that you have with this person or the connection you have with this person, and you accept it and you move on while maintaining it, because nothing's perfect and everybody has their own specific set of needs and requirements, etc. The most important thing is to be true to the ones that you have and find the people that accept that and support that, and you can mutually do the same for them. So I think that that kind of like universal or symbolic transactional nature is different to the way that transactions are framed under capitalism. Because I think, especially from dating apps and just this like Hollywood industrial complex or like romantic fantasy industrial complex that exists in media, where like people can be saved from love or rescued from themselves from love. I feel like if a person doesn't want to do better for themselves, there is no amount of love that can transform that or change their mind about it. So, in situations where somebody's actually changing because of a relationship, it's because they themselves want to change. And the issue that we get into is when we care about somebody who doesn't care enough about themselves, and it's painful to have to constantly try to support and love someone in a way that they themselves can't love and support you because they can't do it for themselves or they can't appreciate what you do for them. I always hear about girls who feel really taken advantage of or overlooked or taken for granted in their relationships because they're trying so hard to get their partner to see the potential that they see in them, but they can't. And then they, I don't know, make promises they can't keep, backpedal on promises. No amount of a woman sticking around is going to help a guy progress, and vice versa. You know, I think there are also situations where guys really plug in to wanting to help and save women because they're trying to like replicate a dynamic with their mom usually. And it's just like, you can't. People need to learn from the consequences of their own actions, and they're never going to appreciate something that they didn't earn. I think that is just basic human nature. Like, I wouldn't appreciate something that I didn't earn. When I get free shit, I don't look after it nearly as much as when I've paid for that with my own money. If I was in a hypothetical situation where I had betrayed a guy's trust and he took me back, I wouldn't appreciate the trust that he gave me unless I faced some sort of consequence for breaking it, which I think should be being broken up with personally. If I honestly betrayed someone's trust, if I cared so little about somebody, if I respected someone so little that I would betray them, I would say, you have to break up with me. We can't do this because I've betrayed myself the same way that I've betrayed you. And I need to go reflect on my life if I want to be able to make progress because I'm downward spiral. So, yeah, if you don't face consequences, how can you grow? How can you learn how to do better if you're doing your worst and that's being accepted and validated from the people around you? It's like having toxic friends that enable you. You're never going to be able to be a better version of yourself if you don't cut the people like that out of your life. And it's so difficult because you can care about someone that isn't good for you. You can care about someone who doesn't have your best interest at heart, ultimately. You can care about someone who would take an opportunity to backstab you. But caring about someone doesn't make you obligated to have them in your life, is what I've learned. Also, just understanding that everybody's limits are different. And oftentimes when we care about people and we're connected to them, we will subconsciously like project our own standards onto them and then assume that, oh, because I wouldn't do something and I'm friends with this person, then they wouldn't do that either. But I think as you get older, you start to realize that your friends are separate to you and your role as a friend is to just be there and be supportive. You don't need to make decisions for them. You can provide guidance and perspective, but everybody has to learn from their own mistakes. And I think that, yeah, a healthy friendship will create that safe space that allows people to work through the darkest parts of themselves sometimes. And you can't do that well until you've done that for yourself or until you're open to doing that for yourself. So, like for me, I definitely went through a phase where I was trying really hard to help a friend out of this toxic dynamic that she was in with this guy. I was trying to remind her, like, you deserve so much better than this. Stop chasing after this guy. He is a dead end. Like, I so badly didn't want to see her get hurt because I recognized so clearly the pain that she was inevitably going to experience because this guy was going to let her down. I didn't want her to make the same mistake that I might have made. I was never in the same situation as her, but I was just like, I know how this story goes and I can save you from having to go through that pain. And what I learned from that experience was that she just had to learn the hard way, and her limits were different to mine. I can only take so much bullshit. My threshold is extremely low. If I feel like something is starting to go downhill, I'll give it 3 months to wait it out, see if there's anything I can do to resolve the situation before I just like let go. Because I just think that deep down when something isn't going to get better. I know from the moment that I decide that I'm going to wait 3 months to see what's going to happen, that at the end of that 3 months, we're going to be done. Because my intuition has already told me that this chapter is closing. And it doesn't have to be who's right, who's wrong, who's good, who's bad. It just is what it is. Like when you can accept that life is full of change and it is going to change whether you like it or not, the best thing that you can do is learn to embrace it and understand that when something leaves your life, it is creating space for something new to enter, because you cannot carry all of those things at once. You only have so much energy in a day. There is only so much mental capacity that you have and you are able to hold space for. And when you realize that the people in your life that inevitably have to leave, you don't need to hold grudges or hold bitterness towards them. Obviously, it's okay to have a little of those feelings every now and then. That's fine, especially when we've been wronged or experienced trauma. But recognize those thoughts when they come up and try to create distance with them and try to radically accept the things that have happened in your life. It doesn't mean that you need to assign like moral value to them and say like, oh, because you accept it, that means it's okay. Absolutely not. You just accept it because it is what it is. And people have still fucked you over, or people have been a positive presence in your life. That is what it is, because you can't change the past. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you think, you're only going to give yourself a headache, honey. And that's going to give you wrinkles, and we don't want that. Botox is expensive. Do the mental gymnastics that you need to do, okay? Let me get to the point of this fucking episode. Okay, crushes are important. I love to have a crush. You know, it keeps things exciting. And I think that like it's okay when it doesn't go anywhere. I think like so many people think that, oh, because I have a crush on this person, like I have to date them. Or because they've given me attention, like we're going to be together. And it's like, does it have to be like that all the time? You can just enjoy, you know, the excitement that comes with it, the novelty that comes with it, without making it such a huge deal. Obviously, like within reason, because you don't need to go out of your way to flirt with people or crush on people that are taken. And if you are taken, then you definitely need to keep your sexual flirting under wraps, because nothing gives me the ick. I don't really get icks. Okay, I get icks for like people, less so than like specific icks when it comes to dating. And one of my icks is people that are committed to somebody, but then flirt around on the down low, like actively flirting. Not like, oh, I'm catching up, I bump into you and we see each other and it's just like hee hee ha ha, but like going out of their way to reply to your shit and like say things to you that they should only be saying. They should be reserving for their partner. That is a huge ick. Like I can't stand people that do that shit now. Don't want them in my life. It's bloody annoying. If I had $1 for every time a married man tried to hit on me, I'd be able to buy my own fucking engagement ring. They're so annoying. So that was my little aside. Embrace having crushes. Somebody asked me on TikTok, how do you meet people in real life for dating if you're not on dating apps? That's a great question. I'm not really sure. I mean, I meet people like at parties and through friends, but I'm not like looking for anything specific right now. Someone did comment saying that they think being introduced to friends of friends is good. And I agree, because it's like getting a free background check. Listen to what women tell you about men, because if you actually have to ask people about someone that you're seeing because you're genuinely like concerned, I feel like that is your intuition telling you that they are going to do what other people are telling you they've done to their exes. I have so many examples of girls telling me that their ex told them when they started dating how they'd broken up with their previous partners. Like, oh, I just created a hostile environment so that I wouldn't have to break up with her. You know, like when guys don't want to be the bad guy and they don't want to break up with the girl, so they create an environment where the girl has to break up with them. They can consciously say that, and they might even say like, yeah, that was so dog of me, I would never do that again. But then they fucking do it again. That's exactly how the girl who's telling me this story was broken up with. I don't really know. Dating stresses me out a lot. I don't have any answers. I don't have solutions. I just think, you know, if we can all just take the time to get to know ourselves, heal from our traumas, we can have healthier connections and relationships with people. Ladies, remember that you don't have to love all men. You just have to find one at a time. You only need to be appealing to one guy at a time. Only one guy needs to be appealing to you. And that's why it's so important to be authentic and to be true to who you are, because there is somebody out there that appreciates you for who you are and will love and accept you. And as long as you believe that, I feel that it is possible to find healthy love. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come with work, but if you're prepared for the self-work and the work that you do together with the partner, then I think that can be a really beautiful thing. But I'm also prepared to die alone because everybody dies alone anyway. And I enjoy my own company, so that's not a problem for me. But yeah, crushes are fun. Why must we put so much pressure on romantic connection? Why can't we just enjoy it? I completely understand for people that are ready to settle down. They're looking for their partner. That is what they are going for. But for, like, because you don't have to work, I mean, no, you don't have to work. We all have to fucking work. Because you don't have to marry for money now, the way that you might have had to before. Like, my mum used to say that a lot of people that she knew were only in relationships because of the financial stability, because the woman had given up her career to be a mother, or the woman wasn't working, and to split up would mean that they would experience a decrease in their living standard. Because you got to split the money. Okay, you can't live in the same house together. Someone's going to move out. You're going to live in a smaller house or an apartment. So they stayed together for money. And now that you don't have to marry for money necessarily, because everybody has to fucking work, even when they're parents now, you can just have fun. We have so many options available to us, and yet we seem to be even worse at romantic connection than before. The thing with women having to enter the workforce is that we also have to be more considerate of the way that we approach romantic relationships, because it's quite difficult to sustain a healthy romantic relationship and progress in your career when you're in, like, you know, the first 10 to 15 years of your professional life, I would say. It's not impossible, but in my opinion, it's not easy because both of those things require your energy. And the idea that we have boundless amounts of energy to just give and give and give is a complete fallacy created by the patriarchy to make women do domestic work and then also enter the workforce. It's very hard to do both, and there's really no reason why you need to if you don't want to. And I think that because women have to consider more carefully whether they get into romantic relationships, it is more common now, especially with the rise of hookup culture, that women can be like, I just want something casual. I don't need it to be that deep. I don't need to get married. I don't need to get committed right now. We can just have a good time together. And at the same time, of course, there's also situations where girls think that that's what they need to say to get a guy's attention, and then they'll try to like manipulate the situation into a serious relationship. Of course that exists, but I'm speaking more specifically about, when women are like, I just want something fun. I think it's fun, especially when you're young, to like enjoy a casual relationship without putting all this pressure on, is this going somewhere? Are we going to get married? And I just think that even though men participate in hookup culture, they benefit from casual sex, etc., they haven't interrogated like the traditional values that they were probably raised with, because I'm speaking specifically to like, millennials and older Gen Z. We were probably raised with more traditional values around marriage, and, you know, two-parent household, you date, you get married, you have babies, you settle down, etc., etc. Like, we were probably raised with those values. We were probably brought up by parents that kind of, or in environments where that was common. Like, even though I had an unconventional family growing up, everybody else around me had like a quote unquote conventional two-parent household. So I think that men, they don't have to consider that because they're not expected to put as much effort into a relationship anyway, and they can always use their job as a scapegoat for responsibility because it's so hard to be a man, etc., etc. I care about my work. Okay, well, you don't think women care about their work? We don't even make as much money as men. Of course we care about our fucking jobs. Because those like core beliefs exist within them, but like without their awareness and without them questioning it, they can't handle the casual thing. They don't, plus the fact they don't understand their feelings a lot of the time. So they don't understand that, oh, I can have feelings for somebody, but not want to commit to them. They think that feelings equates to commitment. Yeah, I just think that like the places that mentally men and women are a lot of the time is very different. I think we're really undergoing like a societal shift from traditional values when it comes to like family structure and dating and love, and we're kind of in this like weird awkward puberty phase. I'm hoping that it can end soon and we can all get into our right mind ASAP, because I don't want to deal with a toxic relationship, and I don't want the people around me to be dealing with toxic relationships, because then I have to fucking hear about it. So let's all do better for the sake of each other and ourselves. Yeah, back to my point. If you don't have to get married for money, if you're not looking to have a baby and you want to be co-parenting, then just have fun. Enjoy it. I don't think there is a rush to get married and settle down the way that there would have been one generation ago, literally. And also because when we're kids, all the adults we know are our friends' parents, and they're all parents. So like they're all in their 30s and 40s when we're little toddlers and stuff, and they've chosen to be parents. At least for me, when I was a kid, it's like I was living in the suburbs, so people weren't exactly like going out and doing coke every weekend, to my knowledge. It's like you wouldn't know that many adults that have opted out of being a parent. I'm not so worried about like, when am I going to get married? When am I going to have babies? I'm like, when am I going to have fun again? Because this dating environment is not giving. I'm sick of it. As funny as it can be to hear the stories from girls, I cannot believe that women are out here experiencing what they're experiencing at the levels that they are. And it's really cute when I hear wholesome stories, etc. But it's few and far between, love. Think about all the people that you know. Can you name at least 5 couples that you think are in healthy relationships? That you could say without a doubt it's not codependent, it's like genuine love. And I struggle. I really do. There are some people's relationships that I admire for them, but it's not necessarily what I would want for me. So I'm just trying to stay in tune with who I am and what I want, and hopefully that will lead me in the right direction. But time will tell. We'll see. Thanks for listening. Make sure you stay hydrated. You tell your friends and family that you love them. Follow me on Instagram at AmberAkilla, at friend.crush, TikTok at AmberAkilla, SoundCloud at AmberAkilla. Send me thoughts, questions, comments. Love to hear from you. I genuinely appreciate it so much when people like tell me that they listen to the podcast, because I literally sit by myself in my room with my dog, sometimes coming in and out of the room and record these. And the fact that like literally even one person would be listening truly amazes me. So I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you for listening. Thank you. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Go be a better person. Love ya. Bye.